Hello, welcome to Life Study Library. In this channel, you'll be able to learn about these interesting and educational science and psychology that might greatly change your life for the better. As your host, Lye Yosh, introduce it by using information from various scientific and scholarly studies. If you feel like you want to learn more about interesting science and psychology that can positively influence you, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to Life Study Library. Thank you so much for doing all that, and now let's get going with today's video. So today's study is from 2017 and was published in the journal Humor, International Journal of Humor Research. The main point of this article is that if you want to improve your fulfillment and satisfaction in life, you can use this thing called the humor style. The humor style first appeared around 2003 or something, and it's basically these 4 types of humor that people use in life. Just like in Pokemon, different humor works differently in different situations. And if you understand when and how people use these different humor styles, and which one of them is most effective in certain situations, you can experience many different positive life outcomes like happiness and satisfaction. So first, let me explain what these 4 different types are. Number 1 is affiliative humor. This type of humor is about saying or doing something that everybody finds funny. People who use this type of humor generally tries to avoid humorously attacking someone and use the affiliative humor to strengthen the bond they have with others. Some celebrity examples I can think of are people like Keanu Reeves, Hugh Jackman, or Emma Stone. I accept disagreements. Affiliative humor is definitely an inoffensive form of humor, but partly because of this, some might see it as kind of boring and not that daring when compared to the humor types I'll talk about later in the video. Number 2, we have self-enhancing humor. Personally, if I had to choose a humor type, I would choose this one because I feel like this is the most versatile form of humor that has the least amount of negativities. Self-enhancing humor is a type of humor that intentionally pokes fun out of your stressful situation, or finds something humorous in the daily mundanity of your life. If you're walking a street and a car goes right by, splashing water all over you, you can say something like, well, I needed to wash my face to wake up, and that did just the right job. Okay, maybe the way I said it kind of sounded sarcastic, but let me continue. This type of humor is useful for a number of reasons. Firstly, strictly with this situation, if there were any other people who saw you just now, you'll embarrass yourself less and create positive energy toward other people, and also toward yourself by making fun of that negative event. And even if you're alone when something embarrassing happened, you can make a joke and laugh at your failure, which makes you feel positive to a certain degree. And you can also use self-enhancing humor to gamify a difficult task. So if you're tasked to, let's say, code a program to make a website or something, and let's say this is a difficult task for you, you can gamify the multiple tasks you do and be like, okay, I finished coding this part, so now I need to do this section. Wait a minute, this part of coding, I'm not sure about it, so let's look it up. Okay, now I know, so let's see if I understood it correctly. It's still not getting me the right thing. Let's try a different approach. Okay, now I got it. This part's finished. Let's move on to the next section. Oh wow, this part is the final boss. I'm gonna need to review this other section. You can see that even though you're not doing a real quest to slay the dragon, you're actively doing a play pretend to make the mundane task interesting. You're implementing self-enhancing humor to find the funny or the interesting in the boring stuff to make it more tolerable. This doesn't only apply with work. It can also be used, for example, with dealing with people who you don't like, but are obligated to work together with. Again, you find the funny and the unfunny and stressful to manage through. People who naturally use this type of humor tend to be open-minded and extroverted, along with having a low state of neuroticism for self-explanatory reasons. They don't needlessly fear the unknown and can tolerate new stuff. So this might apply in career field, where they can switch jobs without having the feeling of uncertainty. Or I guess they still feel these doubts, but doesn't stop trying new things because of it. Along with, they have low neuroticism, so they generally have a firm mental state. So yeah, if you haven't noticed, this is the ideal type you want to be. Now, let's talk about the cautionary tales. Number 3, we have aggressive humor. This is a form of humor where you get laughs at other people's expenses. Included here are things like taunting, making fun of others. Sarcasm, to an extent, is also included. You'll probably see a lot of this in like South Park or SNL, even though they are pretty funny when you are not the target of the joke. And number 4, we have self-deprecating humor. Now, in some sense, this type of humor is similar to self-enhancing humor, where you don't take yourself very seriously. But the difference between the two is that self-deprecating humor is you getting laughs by putting yourself down, and self-enhancing humor is where you poke fun without putting a fault to yourself. And also, self-deprecating humor is often used to get approval from others. So those who are not quite sure of themselves or their values might be using this with the intention to get some laughs, but in reality are putting damage to themselves. Okay, so that was the 4 types of humor people use, and now the study looked at these humor types and compared them to personal happiness slash satisfaction levels and saw if there were any correlation between the 2 factors. Let me summarize the findings for you. Let's start with affiliative humor. I mentioned a little earlier, but because this type of personality has high extroversion and openness, these people can socialize very easily. They also have high self-respect, are emotionally stable, and do not easily get depressed. So yeah, all the checks, and the only major X I find is that these people do have a higher chance of being categorized as bland or characterless because they often avoid spicing things up, which often can be used as a humor gadget if done so appropriately. Moving on to self-enhancing humor. First up, they tend to have low neuroticism. They're unlikely to get depressed or get overly anxious compared to the other types. They also have high creativity and tend to be resilient towards negative stress. They usually have high extroversion and openness and have low neuroticism. Now we're moving on to aggressive humor. These people tend to have high neuroticism, so basically they have less stable mental state than others. And they also have low agreeableness and conscientiousness. They also tend to have a low score of satisfaction and fulfillment in general. And to pretend like they don't have these negative personality traits, they become overly aggressive and offensive with their humor and interaction with others. And lastly, we have self-deprecating humor. This one is about making fun of yourself, and it's pretty obvious to see that these people too have a high neuroticism, but a low score of conscientiousness and agreeableness. So in essence, having and showing a high level of things like affinity or self-enhancing behavior tends to lead people towards satisfaction and fulfillment, and having traits like antisocial aggression or self-deprecating humor tends to lead to unsatisfactory outcomes like constant anxiety, depression, and stuff like that. To put it even more simply, portrayal of pro-social behavior usually leads to positive outcomes, while portrayal of antisocial behavior usually leads to negative. Pretty self-explanatory. Okay, that was pretty much it for this video. Yeah, so considering humor styles, I have one more important topic to talk about in the next video. In it, I'll be talking about a scientific relationship between humor styles and romantic relationships. Which one of the styles, if you have it, can make you more attractive? And along with, I'll be talking about how you can attain that specific humor style that can help you become more successful in romantic relationships, whether you want to start a relationship or maintain a healthy one. I'll try to make that video as quickly as possible, so be prepared to learn more about that. And also, I have for you today's book recommendation. Today's recommended book should be pretty obvious. Today I recommend you Humor, Seriously. Why Humor is a Secret Weapon in Business and Life by Jennifer Aaker. Not a lot of people realize the significance of learning about humor and the application of it in life, mainly because they think you don't really need knowledge of humor unless you're trying to become a comedian or something. And yes, I do agree that when you look at the worldly renowned comedians, not a lot of them are actually attractive. Like, they're not the most hottest people in the world, are they? Even so, they definitely have a considerable amount of fans who have at least some positive emotion about that comedian. One of the reasons is because these comedians are, yes, very funny, but they're also very creative with how they view their life, especially with stuff that are supposed to be not so positive. They can essentially see the humor in the mundane or negative events. Along with, they can verbalize that event in a witty, not so serious form so that they can see the hidden positive or any other hidden detail that normal people do not notice. This can of course lighten the mood and allow other people to relax and let unneeded guard down so that they too can view that whatever event from a non-emotional state. This book talks about this topic in further detail, and along with the science behind why we find humorous and witty people attractive, and many other ways you can use humor to improve your life. This one is a fun book to read, so I definitely recommend you try it out. And then for my video recommendation, I also introduce you to some of my previous few videos that talked about the many scientifically proven methods you can use to maintain a healthy relationship. Yeah, the title of these videos speaks for itself. So if you're interested, you can go watch these videos, and I also have many more videos available for those of you who want to learn more about these interesting science and psychology in my channel. Thank you for watching until the end. This has been Life Study Library, hosted by me, Lye Yosh. Thank you, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!